Welcome, everyone. It is great to have you all here at this 4IP Council webinar on IP initiatives to support EU SMEs with EU IPO. My name is Claudia Tapia. I'm President of 4IP Council, and I will be your host today. On our website, you can find a range of free materials, studies, guidelines, summaries of relevant papers, and recordings of our webinars. We also produce easy-to-digest content, specially tailored for non-IP experts, startups, and small and medium-sized enterprises, also known as SMEs. In the last decades, several studies have shown the importance of IP for companies, in particular for SMEs. And in the meantime, we know that thanks to IP, SMEs get more access to financial support, attract investments, opt to market abroad, and enjoy many other benefits. SMEs that have filed at least one IP right are 21% more likely to experience a growth period afterwards. And despite this, many SMEs still struggle understanding IP. Even those SMEs familiar with IP often claim they do not protect their invention, they do not protect their innovation because they cannot afford it. Well, I have very good news for SMEs established in the EU. In the next minutes, we're going to learn about 3 complementary and highly interesting initiatives. And I think you definitely need to listen because they all come from the European Union Intellectual Property Office, also known as EU IPO. And these initiatives are key for you to know. They all relate to IP. They are either for free, yes, for free, or you can obtain a substantial financial support, up to 90% reimbursement. I'm talking about the SME Fund, IP Scan, and the free IP consultation service. And please do not worry if you cannot remember afterwards every single detail. We will post the link of the website where you can find all the information. Our goal today is for you to understand the benefits of these initiatives and how to approach them. And with us, we have Suzanne Hogan, member of the EU IPO's Customer Experience and SME Network Service. Welcome, Suzanne.
Thank you. Well, thank you for having me today.
We have also Elisavet Karagiampi, the team leader of the EU IPO SMEs supporting initiatives, who has previously worked as project manager at the EU IPO. Hi, Elisavet.
Hello, everyone. Pleasure to be here.
And finally, Mary White, an Irish and EU trademark attorney, leading the Dublin office of STOPS, who has over 10 years experience helping high potential startups and scaling up SME companies with their growth strategy. Welcome, Mary.
Thank you, Claudia, and good afternoon to everybody.
It is a real pleasure to have you all with us today. And I would like to start with a few questions to set this in. But before that, a final remark for the audience. Please do not hesitate to use the Q&A tool to submit your live questions. You can find it in the lower part of the screen. They will be addressed in the second part of the webinar. So please don't hesitate to use this. And I say let's start. Maybe with Suzanne.
Okay.
You work at the EU IPO, and I imagine some, probably a few, but some in our audience may still not be familiar with IP rights. Could you explain us what is IP? Could you provide maybe an example?
Yep, of course. I'll do very basic, make it easy to understand. So in a nutshell, intellectual property or IP rights are ways to protect your business creations and innovations. To give you a really quick overview of what IP is in seconds, I'd love if you could do me a quick favor and pick up your phones. Don't turn them on, leave them off, please. And if you have a look at them, you'll see, and I'm not going to show one because the brand or the logos that you might have an iPhone or a Samsung, etc. These are protected with trademarks. The actual appearance of your phone, how it looks, its look and feel and everything, are protected by designs. Yeah. So we have trademarks and designs, and the actual technology inside your phone, like the touchscreen or the batteries or everything, these are protected with patents. So I've just mentioned 3 types of IP rights there: trademarks, designs, and patents. Another quick example is a pair of glasses, any pair. They have a brand on them, written on them normally. This would be the trademark. They have a look and feel. This would be the design. And the actual glass technology to help you see better is patented, is protected by patents. Is that sufficient, Claudia? Yeah.
Yes, indeed.
Great.
I think it's great examples. Thanks so much. But what about the role of the EU IPR regarding IP?
Okay, so our main role is to protect trademarks and designs at EU level. So basically, we're a one-stop shop for those 2 things.
Makes sense. So,
yeah. So no need to go to each national office if you already know that you want a trademark at EU level. But normally most people do start at national level, but that's something we'll talk about later on. Yep.
Okay. So today we will discuss 3 of the several initiatives that the EU IPO has put in place, in particular for startups and SMEs. And I'm curious, what is the reasoning behind this effort?
You always say, ask Google. Google knows everything. Basically, startups and small and medium businesses represent an incredible 99% of all businesses in the EU. However, studies show that only 10% of those businesses, again, I'm using more numbers just like you before, Claudia, only 10% of those businesses actually use IP. But those that do have a 68% higher revenue. So this is massive. So taking this into account, we launched our Ideas Power for Business program with an aim to raise IP awareness and also to offer financial support. For us, it's really important for people, for the startups and businesses around the EU to understand what IP is, why it can be a huge business asset whilst not costing too much. Yeah.
Wow. You were talking about, if I understood correctly, the IPFB. Can you give us some concrete examples of initiatives under this program?
Yes, so the IPFB is the Ideas Powered for Business program. And the first thing we offer is information, free information. We have a page where you can find everything that we offer, our special services for SMEs. We have a dedicated Ideas Power for Business social media. We really urge you people to join, so they're the first to find out anything that comes out. And of course, we organize and participate in events such as the one today. But another, you mentioned before, Claudia, another free source of information that we organize is a pro bono or free IP consultation service. Okay, this is for free. It's basically, these are short, dedicated sessions whereby you as a business would apply for the service at our office at the UIPO. And given your languages and another information that you give us, we will then offer a list of expert legal volunteers from around the EU for you to choose from and contact. So that would be one initiative, for example, like the free IP consultation service. Then, of course, another step would be, so once you've got information, another step would be money. Yeah, how can you pay for these IP rights? So for that, together with the Commission, the UIPO, we set up an SME fund coordinated by us at the UIPO. And this would be another initiative. And with these funds, as you mentioned, savings range from 50 to 90%. And my colleagues here, Elisavet and Mary, will walk you through them. But just as a tantalizer, I can say that normally a basic EU trademark would cost 850, but with the fund, it only costs €213.
Wow, that's really impressive numbers.
Yeah.
So if you agree, I would like to move to Elisavet to better understand the SME Fund. Elisavet, what does the SME Fund cover?
So the SME Fund 2023 offers financial support to the European SMEs to protect their intellectual property rights and to guide them in developing an IP strategy. How this is done? So this is done through vouchers, and financial support is given for trademarks, designs, patents, and community plan variety, as well as for the IP scan. IP scan is a service to provide you, the small medium enterprises, with an advice on the IP strategy. So I will elaborate a little bit more the example that Susie gave. So if you want to register an EU trademark, you have first apply to grant the SME for voucher 2, and then you have that is like a €1,000. So you apply in the EU IPO for the EU trademark, you pay around €850. And then the SME Fund, we reimburse you 75%. So more or less €640. So the total cost for an application is about 210, as Susie mentioned before.
This sounds great. So who can apply for it?
So all the small medium enterprises that are established in EU are eligible to apply for the grant. Owners, authorized representatives, external representatives can apply. This includes, in particular, the self-employed individuals or family businesses that are engaged in financial or in craft or in other activities.
Okay, so now imagine I fulfill the criteria. Where should I apply? Can I do it online?
Yes, the only way is online. So you visit the EU IPO webpage in the landing page of the SME Fund.
Can I apply anytime?
Yes, you can apply anytime until the 8th of December, 2023. It is very important here to say and emphasize that the funds are limited. So this means that if the funds are exhausted, so we will close the application. If this happens, then we will announce this in our webpage.
Okay, so in that case, I am even happier that we are having this webinar today, so that the EU SMEs interested in the fund do not waste time and apply as soon as possible. But tell us, how does the process work step by step?
Okay, there are 4 simple steps. First of all, you go to the webpage. You create your web account, as in all platforms, and then you submit online your grant application and request your vouchers. The second step is that you receive the grant. This will come after 15 days. Or in the meanwhile, if something goes wrong with the application, there is a missing document, we contact with the SMEs by email during this week. And when everything is right and correct, you have the grant decision for the vouchers. Then the next step is that you go and apply, ask, and pay for your activities. When I say activities, I mean apply for trademark, for design, for patent, for community plan variety, or you ask the IP scan, whatever you require. Once you pay, you log in again in the web page, the SME Fund web page, and you ask your reimbursement. These are the steps.
Okay, so you now mentioned vouchers.
Mm-hmm.
What does each of the vouchers cover?
Mm-hmm. So this year, we have 4 vouchers. Voucher 1 covers the IP scan service up to the amount of 1,350. And this is the reimbursement rate is 90%. This IP scan service support or advise the small medium enterprises on their intellectual property rights, what to choose and how to create their strategy on this field. Voucher 2 covers trademark and designs at the level of national, regional, EU and international level. The voucher is 1,000 euros. This is the amount that you have to spend, and the reimbursement for trademarks and designs for national, regional, and EU is 75%, while the reimbursement for international trademarks is 50%. Voucher 3. Voucher 3 is dedicated on patents, and the amount that it covers is activity up to 1,500 euros, with the reimbursement percentage 75%. So these patents are for national patents, for European patents, and also in this voucher is included the prior art search report, is a report that can be asked to the national offices to be done before you apply for the patents. Voucher 4 covers the plant variety fees. The grant amount is 225, and this corresponds to 50% for the electronic application fee.
I see. So what is the maximum amount of funding available to an SME?
Okay, so this depends on the rights that they want, the service they request, and of course the country. So, for example, for trademarks and designs, it is 1,000 euros, and you should go, then the SME should go to the national offices, to EU IPO and to WIPO to apply for trademark designs and spend this amount of money. For patents, the amount is 1,500, and in order to apply for patents, should go to the national offices or to European Patent Office, EPO. For the IP scan is 1,350, and this request should be done to the national office that they are under the umbrella of the SME fund. Now we have 11 member states, 11 offices that they are under the SME fund. And then if you want the plan for the community plan variety, this is 225 euros, and you go and apply to CPDO, the community plan variety organization.
Okay, so to access these funds, is it necessary to collaborate with a law firm, or can I submit the documentation personally?
Okay, you can collaborate with a law firm, but this is not an obligatory. There is no need to collaborate. The steps are easy. First, we propose to read the call for proposal and the frequently asked questions that they are in the landing page. And then the application will guide you the steps, first step, second step, in order to complete your application and receive your grant.
And do those SMEs that wish to apply to the SME fund themselves obtain any kind of support from the EU IPO?
Okay, so during the application process, there is an online chat. So they can use the online chat if they have any questions regarding the process of the application. If they need more help or they have more questions, there is always the EU IPO Information Center to contact by mail or phone.
And could an SME that is not VAT registered still apply for the vouchers?
Okay, one of the documents that they have the SMEs to upload is the VAT number. But if the SME is not taxable under the VAT, they can always submit the national registration certificate, which is issued by the competent national authority in the country that they belong, to prove that they have created a company. Okay. Another situation is that if someone is self-employed, then they can submit the sole trader registration certificate, where we can see that he is the owner, she is the owner of the applicant company.
And can those funds be used for IP rights, for example, trademarks registered in 2022?
You mean that if someone has already applied the trademark the previous year, he can get their funds? No, their funds cannot go back for rights that they have already registered. No, always we are talking about new applications for trademark designs, patents.
So far, the three takeaways I will say are the following. First, SMEs benefit enormously from IP. SMEs established in the EU can apply to the EUIPO SME fund with savings ranging from 50 to 90%. 3, they have time until the 8th of December to apply, but they should do it as soon as possible because the funds are limited. Am I missing anything important?
Yeah, let me tell you that it is very important that first you apply to receive the grant for the vouchers you need. Okay, this is very important. First, you have the grant. First, you have the vouchers. Then you apply for trademark design, patents, plant variety, or ask the IP scan. Then you pay for this. Once you pay directly, you can ask your reimbursement. There is no need to wait for your trademarks or for IP rights to be registered. This is from my side.
Very good point, yes. Mary, let's continue with the IP scan, shall we? What is the purpose and which services are offered with the IP scan?
Claudia, thank you. Yeah, so IP scans, I guess, really are there to advise SMEs on intellectual property rights, and they are quite tailored. They can identify what are the IP assets that are most valuable and should be protected depending on the business itself. As Elisavet already mentioned, there are 11 countries who are currently participating in the SME Fund IP scan through the EU IPO. And then the cost for this service varies at national level, but is always highly subsidised.
Interesting. How does it work in practice?
So in practice, your business is matched with a local IP expert. So in Ireland, for example, that could be me or one of my colleagues, and they act as if they were a specialist team member within the SME for a period of time while the IP scan takes place. And that makes it a very collaborative, participative process. So together we review the business commercial strategy and the intellectual property strategy to make sure that the business understands how the commercial strategy leads IP and that the two are working in lockstep. So together we figure out what intangible assets the company wishes to protect, and then we look at their priorities, commercially speaking, to make sure that we address those in the right order, and we make sure that we support the business in its next stage of growth.
And in which circumstances would you recommend an SME to apply for the IP scan?
So an IP scan is ideal if you need to bring in some expertise. It doesn't necessarily need to be purely legal expertise, but intellectual property expertise. So if you don't have anyone in-house who has a lot of understanding or skills about IP, it can be a great way to put together an IP strategy for the first time. It's a really useful exercise as well if a company has changed or evolved substantially, maybe amended its commercial vision, or even if it's just been a long time elapsed since the last time you reviewed your IP portfolio. So it's as if the IP scan's ambition is to give you a snapshot, if you like, a picture in time of where the IP is at that moment in time, and then to signpost the way forward for that SME for its next steps.
And what do IP experts like you do in this process?
So, well, I really enjoy being a part of an IP scan because it's our job to bring that depth of expertise we do have, that can be expertise in terms of the law, but also in terms of practice. So it helps fill knowledge gaps for the SME, and that's quite variable depending on the needs of the company. But as I said, we're there to act as if we're part of your in-house team and to help you to review what you've got, understand what you can do with it, what opportunities you have, and then fill in any gaps in your knowledge or in your processes. So for example, when I am doing an IP scan, I will check some basics like, what is the company name? Do you use any brand names or product names? Key services that you're delivering, how are you marketing those? Do you have domain names registered? And we'll have a look to see if you have any formally registered IP in place so that you have secured exclusivity for these really important brand assets and intangible assets for you. And then we might make some recommendations based on what we find. So the IP expert's job is, I suppose, to also assist companies in making sure that they have the right to use any IP that they use belonging to third parties. So that can also be making sure you have suitable licenses in place or suitable agreements if you're using someone else's technology or imagery or whatever. So it's quite comprehensive, and it is variable depending on what the SME needs.
I think it's fascinating. This is one of the things that SMEs always argue about, which is the need to have support. And here you have this opportunity. So do you help with registering names or dealing with problems at this stage?
Not really, Claudia, and that's a very good question because, you know, the SME needs to clarify what the IP scan is really for to get the best from this service. So if I was to describe it, I would say the IP scan helps the SME to create a shopping list of actions that they can consider and take forward. But it is at the end of the day, the SME who is the driving force in this arrangement. We're there to support, not to, conduct legal advice. So the SME is responsible for actioning these things at the end of the audit. We investigate all of these different aspects, but the control remains with the SME to implement only those recommendations that they see fit at the end.
Mm-hmm. Is the IP scan limited to registerable IP?
Another great question, Claudia. No, the IP scan is really broad in its remit. So while we do look at formal or registered IP rights, as Suzanne mentioned, patents, utility models, copyright, maybe plant varieties, geographical indications, trademarks, all of these things. But on top of that, the IP scan has a very structured report form, and it does look closely as well at what we call soft IP or unregistered IP. And that includes areas like, are you minding your confidential data and your trade secrets appropriately? And it looks at whether, you have suitable non-disclosure agreements or contractual arrangements for your staff. How do you manage innovation, and how do you maintain your records and your housekeeping? So it's really very robust and very rounded in its approach. And I think that's one of the reasons why it's very valuable, that it isn't just, purely ticking a legal box. It's really looking at the day-to-day operations of the SME and making sure that no stone goes unturned.
We have one question from the audience. It states, many thanks for these initiatives. I would be interested in the IP scan. What are the steps?
Oh, that's another good question. So I think Elisavet has outlined a little about the application process for the different initiatives. Once you have applied for an IP scan and you have got your voucher, you then contact your national office. And they will put you in touch with the IP expert. And then you go into the process itself of the IP scan, which has 3 phases: preparation, analysis, and then reporting.
And what happens in each of these 3 phases?
So the first step is preparation. And I suppose for the IP expert, the business owner will give them an introduction to the company by way of a short self-assessment questionnaire. So the IP expert then will also maybe do some research, some independent homework, if you like, before they come in to meet the company. And the second stage then is where we sit down together, and this is where it becomes really fun. So we can use this time together to probe into what's going on in the company. The expert will ask some questions to elicit some additional information, and it's a great time for the SME to avail of that expertise that we can bring and to use it as an educational tool as well. So we have some good and lively discussions, and again, they're a little bit varied. Every business we go into is different, and that's what makes it such an enjoyable process. So we want to hear what the SME needs from us and how we can help, and then the SME will, I suppose, give the expert a little bit of time to digest all of that information, and then we retire and prepare the report. So finally, at the reporting stage, then the IP expert will come back and like I say, it's a very structured report, it's a very comprehensive report, but it'll give you some analysis of the business and then point the way, as I say, signposts, some recommendations that we believe are in the company's best interest based on what the company has told us their objectives are. So they're suggestions, they're not legal advice. We don't undertake legal work, just kind of re-clarifying that, but it is our opinion on what is, good practice, best practice, and what will bring the most benefit to the SME to put in place. And again, we signpost other opportunities that might arise, like the availability of other vouchers and so on. And at all times, the SME remains in the driving seat in this process, Claudia. So, it's up to the SME to decide whether to implement all or some of these recommendations or to take them on and work with other partners or work themselves afterwards.
Thank you. Please allow me to do a wrap up so that people in the audience can get really the most important elements. First, the IP scan is a great point to start as IP strategy, and if you're not sure what to protect or how to protect. 2, you obtain the support of an IP expert, not a legal advice, who delivers a written report at the end of the process. 3rd, the process is driven by the SME's needs, and it will be delivered, you receive a kind of tailored recommendations, and it's then up to the SMEs to decide to implement them or not. And 4th, if you want to benefit from this program, you need to first apply for the voucher at the EUIPO. And once you have the voucher, you then go to the National Intellectual Property Office. And there you will be matched with the IP expert. Mary, anything else?
That's exactly right, Claudia. There's a lot of information there, but you have summarized it really well. And just to remind everybody that the service, the price varies slightly at national level, but it's reimbursed up to 90%. And for that reason, it's an extremely cost-effective option for people to get a very comprehensive look at their IP.
Fully agree. It's like a big present, indeed. Let's continue with the free IP consultation service. Suzanne, could you explain us what is it?
The free IP consultation service?
Yes.
Yep. Okay. So this is a service you would basically use once in a time of need, and it is a short session with a legal expert volunteer. So you would apply for this service online. As Elisavet said, we do everything online. And then we would send you, based on what you filled in, we would send you a list of volunteer experts from around the EU, and then you would choose, or the business would choose from this group of legal experts to have this short consultation session.
In the audience, someone is asking, what is the difference between the free IP consultation service and the IP scan?
Yes, I can understand the confusion there. So the free IP consultation service is let's say it's back to the basics. Yeah, it's a service that you would use for for one question, something that perhaps you don't know if what IP right is right for you, if it's very basic, you might need to move forward with your case, become a bit unstuck. Would the trademark I have in mind be likely to be granted or not? So these sort of questions you would ask. So it's one-off questions. But the IP scan that Mary's just wonderfully explained there is really, it's really looking into the business strategy, into the future. It's planning a whole IP business together with a group of experts. No.
Yeah, I'd agree with that, Suzanne, that they have different purposes, if you let me sort of say, because I've done both sides of this coin. And I think crucial to it is what you said, that the pro bono support is to help get someone unstuck or to deal with a very specific issue that arises. And it may happen after or before an IP scan. So they're just different purposes, really.
And from the provider side, I also see the benefit of creating a networking with a company that one day might grow into a very successful and strong company, and will remember that IP expert who helped them in difficult times and might be willing to hire that person. So it's also a good opportunity for these IP experts to help. Great. So how often can an SME request the free IP consultation service?
I can answer that one. I mean, once. So the free, it's a very simple answer. It's they can apply for it once. And may I just say thank you there for your sort of free promotion there, because we're always on the look for experts to offer this free advice.
Good. From the audience, we have these comments. Congratulations for having brought in the fund to cover for patent filing at the EU level. This is a major upgrade. Could you confirm that if an SME has used the fund in 2022 to fill a patent application at the national level, the same SME could apply to the new 2023 fund for a patent application at the EU level?
I can take this.
Okay.
Yes, if they have applied in 2022, they received the voucher, they applied for a national level. This year, they can apply for the patent voucher, voucher 3, and can use it either for national or for European level for a new patent.
Okay. So for the free consultation service, I understand you can apply only once. And so far we have discussed 3 initiatives: the SME fund, the IP scan, and the free consultation service. What would you recommend? Should SMEs apply to one, to all? What will be the best moment in the company's life to apply to them? Suzanne?
Okay, ladies, you may also step in. I would personally apply for if I was a small business, I think I would personally apply for the free IP consultation to start off with, because I personally might not know if an IP right, if I need one or not for my business, and if so, which one I would need. So I would probably start off with that, but this is a service that you can use at any point in time. Then, once it's clear that you need an IP right, then, as Elisavet very clearly stated out, then I would apply for the vouchers. Once I've been accepted once I've been accepted and I have my voucher, then I would apply for depending if I want to scale up my business in the future, I would probably apply for the IP scan service that Mary just explained. And after that, I would apply for the IP rights, so trademarks, designs, or patents. But of course, this is variable. And I said, IP consultation can be used at any time, the same as the IP scan. What's important is that first of all, you apply for the fund, and then for the IP rights or the scan.
If I may, once you have the vouchers, I think you should start with the IP scan, because sometimes even the SMEs can already have a trademark, okay? And they want to create their IP strategy in general. They have one and they are wondering, Do I have to renew it? Do I have to create a new one? Do I need something different? So I think the first step is to build your IP strategy.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, basically, there's nothing to lose. As Mary was saying, it's highly subsidized. So for the cost, I mean, it can really save, not just save the businesses, it can really help them grow. You know? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
And plan.
Yeah.
And then once they have the report, they have to be very, very careful with the timeline, not to lose the other vouchers, and use it, you know, in a correct way.
And regarding just go ahead.
Sorry,
Go
Claudia.
No.
All of that is absolutely accurate. And I guess maybe one of the interesting things that sometimes happens is if you have the IP scan, you have a good rapport with an expert. So it can be very often that the experts that deliver one service might deliver another. So if I recommend maybe registering a trademark, and then for some reason maybe another third party has registered a similar trademark and you have an objection or something like that, it may actually bring about a situation that you need a further little tiny piece of advice, like a little extra helping hand, and for that the pro bono consultation service is really effective, just to help get over a minor obstacle or a minor hurdle. It's not necessarily designed for long-term, ongoing legal advice and support, but it's ideal for small things like a little bit of, I suppose, guidance into how to handle a tricky thing, or how to maybe approach a third party and say, actually, your business is very different than our business, and there's no need for us to disagree about the use of this mark or whatever, and to phrase that in such a way. So it can take the panic out of these situations, because the letters can be a little daunting when you get them. You think, what does that mean? So they can be very, very useful, small little opportunities to hold the business's hand when a scary situation arises. And once you understand it, you realize it's not scary at all.
And regarding these three initiatives, does a first to come, first to serve system apply, or does certain SMEs have higher chances to succeed compared to other kinds of SMEs?
I can take this one. Yeah, so for the free IP consultation, basically you have to just fulfill the requirements in the application form, and you will receive a list of these IP legal experts from around the EU to choose from. So no first come, first served basis there, or higher less chances. As per the fund, I think it's quite clear this is available until funds run out. The deadline to apply was the 8th of December, no, Elizabeth? Yes, 8th of December, but it may be that there's no funds left by then. So best to fill out as soon as possible. And basically that's it. No, you have to comply with the requirements and be a small or medium enterprise.
Excellent. So far, my takeaways are that the free IP consultation is meant for a specific question that the SME may have. Second, it is for free, as the name says. Third, you can use it only once, but
yes.
at any point of the process when you need it, such as, for example, when you're trying to figure out what IP right is best for you. Anything else missing?
Mary, Elizabeth, I think that's it. It's pretty clear.
Wonderful. Then let's move now back to the SME fund. Does an SME still get SME fund reimbursement if the trademark or design is not registered in the end?
Yes. As we said before, once you pay, you ask for the reimbursement. You don't wait until your trademark or design or patents are registered. So yes, you still get the money, even if your trademark or design is not registered.
Excellent. So can I representative apply for the grant on behalf of an SME?
Yes, a representative can apply on behalf of an SME. What we ask as EU EUIPO is a signed declaration for honor to confirm that the SME wishes to assist with this process. So this declaration of honor should be signed by both parties. And in the application process, we have the form.
What about the legal expenses related to the registration? Are they eligible for reimbursement?
Okay, in SME Fund 2023 edition, legal expenses are not covered.
And
That's
then,
one reason why the IP scan works so well with the grants, because you will have a lot of support knowing what to apply and what can happen with the application, so it can help to address, I suppose, a lot of the questions that an SME might ask a legal expert. Like I say, it's not legal expert advice, but it sort of lines you up to make better decisions and to do a lot of the work yourself. So at least it'll cut down on legal fees if you do decide to have legal assistance in filing an application. So I think they go very well together in that regard.
they do. Are the vouchers and other benefits also available for public institutions?
Okay, so it's a public institution and SME. Okay, what we do is that we use the definition of the EU of what is of the European Commission definition of what is an SME. What I have to say here is that when we receive an application from an SME, what we check in the operation part is the VAT, the bank statement, and the declaration of honor. Okay, these are the documents. If there is no VAT, as we said before, we check the national registration certificate, because sometimes it is a public institution plus with a company or under the private, how to say, is a private entity under an organization. So there are many options. So these are the documents that we check every time we receive an application. Okay, and please, for these cases, go to our frequently asked questions, where we have all these options explained there.
We will do, and I think we have been sharing, I hope, in the chat also the links, and so that you can check afterwards.
Right.
And so we've been looking at this reimbursement, and after paying for activities, who can request the reimbursement?
I can take this one. Yeah. As Elisavet was saying before, a representative that's assigned this honor document may request the reimbursement, or the business themselves, so the SME, the business owner, you may also request for the reimbursement. But in any case, the money is paid directly into the owner, the bank account, as the beneficiary of the grant decision, never to the representative. Is that clear?
I think so. Okay. How long can I use the vouchers?
Eli?
I will take this. You can use the voucher for 2 months, and you can extend it for another 2 months if this is about the voucher 1, 2, and 3.
Mm-hmm. And how many vouchers can the SME request? Can we ask one for trademark and brand name, and then one for design, and then another one for another design?
No. So basically, trademarks and designs are both covered under the same voucher, and you can only apply for one voucher. However, with this voucher, you can receive, as Elisavet mentioned before, up to a maximum of 1,000 euros. So you may be able to apply for several different trademarks or designs at different level, at EU or national level.
Anything to add?
So
Good.
you can apply for one voucher 2, one voucher 3, one voucher 4.
Okay.
If voucher 1 exists in your own country. Okay.
Mm-hmm. And can I extend my vouchers? And if so, how do I do this?
Okay, I will take that. So you can extend the voucher, as we said before. Voucher 1, 2, and 3 can be extended for another 2 months because you didn't have time to take your report, the IP scan report you asked, because you haven't decided or whatever. So you can extend for another 2 months. If it is voucher 4, this can be extended for another 4 months. Okay, this is the difference between the vouchers. How you do that? To extend a voucher expiry date, you must access your SME fund account. And in the voucher itself that you see in the SME fund account, there is a button that says extend expiry date. So you click that, and this is extended automatically for another 2 months or 4 months in case of the voucher 4. This can be done during the last month of the initial 2 months validity period. Okay, you cannot go on the 3rd month to do that, or you cannot do that in the 1st month because the system doesn't give you this. Okay, so at the 2nd month, at the last month of the 2-month validity period.
Good. I have an accepted patent application. Let's imagine I have it.
Mm-hmm.
And I have paid for it with a private consultant. Are these expenses reimbursable?
Do you want me to take it, Elizabeth?
Yes, and I will take it, but the legal expenses are not covered in the SME Fund 2023. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So this is not included in any of the 4 vouchers.
But if you do have an application, a patent application that's already been accepted, no, you can't apply for reimbursement from the fund. As Elizabeth said before, it's only for new applications. So first you apply for the fund and then for the IP right of your choice.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah?
True.
And in the phase 3, the IP expert sends a report to the SME. Which IP rights are covered in the report provided by the IP scan?
I can take that
please.
question, I think. Yeah, so I suppose the report is quite structured, so it will go through formal registered IP rights like patents, trademarks, designs, industrial designs. If you have, depending on what the business does, you may have copyrighted materials and so on. It moves into areas then, so maybe what we call soft IP or unregistered rights. So you may have, for example, unregistered design rights. You may have created a new or exciting shape of product or design of product, not registered it, but it could still be registerable, or it could still be eligible for unregistered design right protection for a period of time. So we'll look at those. And then we move into areas like confidential information and trade secrets. So that's basically commercially sensitive and valuable information. Know-how, how you do what you do, because that could be very important information that adds value to your company. Are you looking after it in the right way? Are you securing it and classifying it correctly? And then we may look at other things that could be important, which are variable from company to company. So those are very situational, but essentially we try to have a very holistic view of the company and all of its IP, whether registered or unregistered or unregisterable, so that the company understands exactly what it has, what is its own, what is borrowed and properly borrowed, anything that it needs to tighten up. perhaps there are opportunities there for the company to expand or to grow or to make the most of opportunities. So we signpost, say, potential issues that could crop up. So if somebody said, well, we're thinking of moving into a new market, we would say, interesting. So you have a national trademark here. You may wish to apply for an EU trademark instead, or you may wish to apply for a national mark in another country. So we look at things like territorial expansion. If, for example, your product range has increased and the goods and services for which your trademark was originally registered are no longer fit for purpose or no longer sufficient to cover the scope of what your business does, we may point out that it would be advisable to increase the scope of your goods and services by filing a new trademark application. So those are typical types of recommendations. And I suppose, you know, again, there might be opportunities for a company to collaborate or license their IP to others. So if so, and we're aware of this, we might look at that or give them some tips and pointers about how to enter into meaningful discussions in a safe way using non-disclosure or other confidentiality clauses and so on when they're collaborating or designing new products. So there's a lot of, I suppose, potential signposting we can do to try to help bring the company into its next phase and promote more innovation. So at that stage then, I suppose the SME will have a really solid idea of what its next steps could be. So yeah, it's very structured, and the national offices sort of double check these reports for quality so the SME can be reassured that what they're getting is a very high quality and robust report. As I say, what they choose to do with it then is up to them on their timescale and their budget and so on.
Yes, they can decide, but at least they have an amazing report from experts that can help them in their decisions. So great that you can offer that. We're approaching to the end, so I have a question for each of you for less than 1 minute. You have one message that you want to convey here today for our audience, some of them will be SMEs. What is that you would like them to keep for sure from everything that they have heard today? Who would like to start?
I can, if you like. I mean, I think the key message I personally would want businesses to understand is the importance of IP, that it really is an intangible asset, that it can really not just protect your businesses, but really, really help you grow and fly. That would be my message. Thank you.
Thanks, Suzanne.
Yeah, I mean, I would say the same, but Suzanne started first. But say so.
We work at the same place, Elisavet. We should be.
After that, don't lose this opportunity that you have. Okay, and even if this is not helpful, please call us in EU IPO in the first line in the call center, and we will explain to you how you benefit and how you take this opportunity for your firm.
Finally, I would say that we have just recently celebrated World IP Day, and that there is a discrepancy at the moment in how many female founders and female entrepreneurs and female innovators are availing of IP rights. This is such a wonderful opportunity. It makes a difference to your business, and there is an underrepresentation amongst ladies out there at the moment to avail of the value of their own hard work and creativity. So I would have a special shout out to all the lady entrepreneurs out there to make the most, and the lineup of formidable lady speakers here today says it all. We're here to help you. Please avail of the opportunities. Whether you think you can afford them or not, find out, because they are so affordable with the support of the EU IPO.
Thanks, Mary. Thanks, Elisavet, and thanks, Suzanne. I realize I don't recall the last time I saw 4 ladies in a panel, so I think it's great that you had the time and you could share your knowledge and expertise with us. I think this is a huge privilege and an opportunity, as Elisavet was saying. And thank you also to all of you for attending this webinar. A recording of this presentation will be made available on 4IP Council's webinar tomorrow, website tomorrow. Please don't forget to check our website for more content. Again, you can find research papers, podcasts, webinars, and more. And finally, I would like to remind you that tomorrow you will receive an email inviting you to complete a 1-minute survey about this webinar, and we will be very, very thankful if you could provide your feedback. And with that, thanks everyone, and goodbye.